What's going on, guys? Hope everybody's having a great day. We are playing some Dragonheir Silent Gods. This is a sponsored video, so huge shout out to Dragonheir for sponsoring the video. And they've got a brand new season, guys. You can download the game using the link in my description, as well as the pinned comment if you'd like to check it out. There's also some promo codes for you all to use as well, so be sure to enter them while they're still good. The game is available on Windows as well as Mac. You can get it on Epic and Steam players, as well as iOS and Android mobile platforms. Now, we're going to be talking about the Grave of Curse. In this one, we're going to do stage 9. But first, let me tell you about some of the new things in this season. We've got 31 new heroes, which you'll have an opportunity to summon in the, exclusive summoning pools that they'll have for you at the start of season 3. Awesome new champions, and of course we have new damage types, new elemental affinities, so you're going to get an opportunity to get these champions. We have aura champions now, shadow champions now, corrosion champions now. We also have fire and radiance together, lightning, necrosis, ice, and poison together, new artifacts as well as new gear. So we have a ton of new gear sets, a few new artifacts and exclusive artifacts for the exclusive champions. There's a few exclusive champions that have come in this new season as well, so there's actually a ton. There's new boss mechanics as well, which I covered in another video. But let's go ahead and look at the Grave of Curse stage 9. So the first thing to note, if we look at the boss's skills, as some things have changed, right? So normally we would come in here, we could block buffs. You can also strip buffs, right? We cannot block buffs anymore. On this first skill, the boss is going to cleanse debuffs, all of them from himself, and then buff up. Usually we would come in and place our block debuffs around this area to make sure that he doesn't buff up. That way you don't have to worry about stealing buffs, but now you absolutely have to steal the buffs. The boss is also going to dispel your shield, so you want to make sure you're shielding after the 12-second mark. So if you're doing your skill timing, as I have for this particular comp, you'll make sure that your shield champ is actually shielding after the boss uses this dispel here. So we have Falosia, who's going to be our shield champ, going at 15 seconds. We're going to repeat this every 18 seconds because the boss is on an 18-second rotation. We aren't manipulating the ultimate energy meter at all, the charge of the boss at all, so this should work out smoothly. Everybody else is just on default, but we're running a Bladen in there. We have a fur bath, so Bladen's going to be doing some damage for us. He's an ice blast champ. We also have Psychic, who's going to be doing some damage for us. He doesn't necessarily need this artifact. I'm just using it for the crit rate right now to help his build so he can have enough damage. We have Varesh in there, who's going to be stealing buffs for us. So when dealing damage, has a 50% chance of dispelling one buff. He's not going to do it for us every time, but it will help us to mitigate some of the damage that the boss is going to do. And of course we have Falosia, who is going to be providing us with our shield and damage reduction now. Most of these champions pretty accessible, right? Falosia is definitely the wild card here. A replacement for her would be someone else to bring you a shield or increase defense. There aren't many champions in the game that are going to provide you with damage reduction AoE, but we'll take a look at that after the run. Let's go ahead and see the run and see exactly how it works. So I'm a huge fan of Ice Blast. Psychic is actually the champ that I use the most in season 2 for DPS. I don't have any of the Lego Ice Blast DPS champs, but I do have Shinna. I would love to have like Beldel, even Gerthen would be great. I don't have a Gerthen or a Beldel, but this team actually works awesome here. Now, the shield that the boss is getting is not big at all because of the damage reduction in the shield that we have. Even with the boss having the buffs up, we did not steal the buffs that last turn. We're still not taking a ton of damage, so the shield is not that big that the boss is getting. So as you can see, they're very minuscule shield, which is what you want, right? You could bring in a champ to steal the shield, and then you have to worry about healing. If the boss has a big shield, that means you took a lot of damage. You might want to bring attack penalty, some other things to keep the team alive, right? If you can't just simply bring in damage reduction. The damage reduction is completely broken in this game. I'll be honest. Damage reduction is completely broken because simply removing Fallujah now means we need to bring in increased defense. We need to bring in attack penalty. We need to make sure that we have reliable healing. Right now, the only person that's actually getting healed is Furbath, right? Nobody else is actually, well, we're getting some healing here. We are getting some healing from Furbath, but we're not getting like a ton, right? The comp doesn't heavily rely on healing. This is a very easy comp to make if you have these champs, right? It doesn't take a ton if you have the champs, for sure, right? And it's a pretty quick run. A minute 27 is not bad. Obviously, there are runs that are significantly faster, right? But these are epic champions for the most part. Psychic, accessible. Bladen, pretty accessible. Varesh, most people have him from season 1 for sure. Furbath, most people are going to have from season 1 as well. Sadly, I still don't have one on my main account. This is a test server account. It's crazy I don't have this guy, but you can bring in other tanks in place of him. He's literally there. He is placing attack penalty for us and providing some healing, but you could bring in a tank that can do similar things. They won't provide the healing that he provides, but they will provide you with attack penalty and self-sustain. Now, Fallujah is definitely the wild card and the one that we want to try and replace the most. So if we go and search for just damage reduction, there's not a ton of champs in the game that do it, and most of them are Legos. Now, you do have an option in Irma, who is actually a tank who you could bring in place of Furbath, right? She is going to place damage reduction on everyone on your team, which is huge, right? She also has some hit recovery, some self-sustain for herself, and increases her ultimate energy whenever she takes damage, so she can come back around to this ultimate ability very fast. So if you have her, I would strongly suggest that you use her. She is definitely one of the strongest epic tanks in the game, just from damage reduction and control immunity alone. These are two very, very rare buffs to have. If we go and search control immunity as well, control immunity is very, very, as you can see, there's only 2 champions that are not legendary in the entire game that do this. So Irma, amazing, has to be, you know, top ranked, at least top 5, top 10 as far as epic tanks go. Obviously Furbath is up there. Obviously Garius is up there. I'm not sure if, you know, Horus is up there for sure. But as far as like defense champs go, as far as epics go, there's not going to be many that are better than Irma for what she can provide to your team as far as that damage reduction goes, because damage reduction is pretty much leading, keeping this team alive. It's the only thing really keeping this team going. The shield helps, right? But you bring in shield champs, it's not going to have the same effect without the damage reduction. 30% less damage is a ton of damage reduction. So I would strongly encourage you to use Irma. You could bring in Irma as your tank, replace Fallujah with another healer and or someone to shield you, right? And you're good to go. You can easily build a comp that can get you full auto for Grave of Curse. I think that all of the rest of the champs, you know, the DPS champs can easily be replaced. You can easily replace, you know, Bladen and let me reset this. You can easily replace Bladen and Psychic, right? You probably have much better DPS champs that you can bring in there. These guys are easily replaceable. As far as Varesh goes, right? Replacing Varesh, all we're doing is stealing the buff. So buff dispel, right? You want a champion that can do buff dispel. There's quite a few in the game. There's even rare options here. I know that a lot of people, wait, where's Grover? Oh wait, maybe he steals the buff. So buff dispel, steal buff. Yeah, so Grover can come in and help you as well. You want someone to be able to steal your buffs or dispel your buffs, all the boss's buffs, that is. You have options for that, plenty of options for that, and the rest is just, you know, smooth sailing from there. You've got your damage reduction, you've got your shield, maybe a bit of healing there. Faresh also does some healing himself. So if you could bring in, some multi-purpose champ that will provide you with some heals and some damage, or they provide you with, damage and shield, or they provide you with heals and shield, right? But you need these combinations of things in order to have, full auto comps that are reliable, that you don't have to worry about. You can set it and forget it, right? So I think we have, talked about the champs enough and replacements. That's going to be all for this one, guys. Hopefully this helps you out for sure. This is for season 3 with the elemental affinities that we have. Be sure to download the game using the link in my description as well as the pinned comment. It will help me out a ton. And until next time, guys, be good and be well.